had dreamed of flying since childhood. But the moment he stepped onto Silverwing Airfield, he realized this dream would come with turbulence. At the gate, the security guard eyed his registration badge as if it couldn't possibly be real. "Lost, buddy? The service entrance is in the back," the man smirked. "Cleaning staff usually show up after 6. "I'm here for the pilot training program," Andre replied calmly, refusing to let the insult land. Silverwing wasn't just any airfield. It was the most prestigious aviation academy in the country, a desert fortress of advanced flight simulators and experimental jets gleaming under the Arizona sun. It was the kind of place where aviation's future was forged, and where Andre was clearly an outsider. The guard looked again at the documents, uneasy now. "Must be some mistake," he muttered before reluctantly opening the gate. Andre, at 35, had logged over 3,000 flight hours and served as a respected simulation instructor in Atlanta. He never imagined that in 2024 his biggest obstacle wouldn't be skill, it would be perception. As he crossed the airfield, conversations fell silent. Whispers trailed behind him like exhaust smoke. Inclusion program? Maybe some special quota. Did he take a wrong turn on the way to basketball practice? At the registration office, a clerk greeted him with a polished but uneasy smile. "Ah, Mr. Robinson. Yes, I see your name. But perhaps there's been a misunderstanding about our standards." Andre stayed composed. "My 3,000 flight hours and instructor certification should meet your standards just fine." The woman stiffened. "Of course. The orientation starts in Hangar C." Inside, the room was filled with the children of executives, military prodigies, and heirs to aviation empires. When Andre entered, the chatter faded into awkward silence. Captain Richard Drayton, the chief instructor, scanned the group with cold, precise eyes. When his gaze met Andre's, his tone hardened. "Well, looks like we have a unique participant today. I hope everyone's ready for the discipline this program demands." The introductions began. When Andre stated his name, a blonde trainee interrupted, smirking. "And what route of diversity did you take to get here?" Laughter rippled through the group. "My father told me Silverwing had standards," another muttered. Drayton gave a thin smile. "Perhaps Mr. Robinson can share stories from community flying clubs." Andre inhaled deeply. "Licensed pilot for 12 years, certified instructor for 7, specialist in advanced aerobatics and extreme weather navigation." "Impressive," Drayton replied coolly. "But theory is one thing. Here we test instinct and legacy." During simulator training, Andre was left for last. The others joked while he waited. "Hope he doesn't break the machine." "He'll probably say it's rigged if he fails." When it was finally his turn, Drayton's smirk returned. "All right, let's see what our guest pilot can do. Careful, this simulator costs more than you'll make in a lifetime." The moment Andre took control, he felt it. The system lagged, sensors glitched, warnings flashed erratically. It had been tampered with. 3 tense minutes later, the screen blazed red. Simulation failure. Fatal collision. The hangar erupted in laughter. Drayton shut down the console dramatically. "Well, not everyone's born to fly. Maybe there's an opening on the maintenance crew." Andre stood slowly. His face remained calm. No anger, no humiliation. Just a quiet, steady focus that briefly silenced even Drayton. It was the calm before something unforgettable. While everyone around him laughed, there was something in Andre's eyes that didn't belong in that room. A quiet, unshakable confidence, born only in those who've endured storms far greater than mockery, and survived them. If you've ever faced injustice and wondered whether strength could turn pain into power, stay with me. You're about to witness how one man transformed years of exclusion into a moment the entire airbase would never forget. When the door to the barracks slammed shut, Andre finally let his calm facade slip. His eyes burned, not with anger, but with resolve. Sitting on the edge of his narrow bed, he unlocked his phone and typed an encrypted message. "Confirmed." "It's worse than we thought." The reply came seconds later. "Hang in there. We're in position." Andre exhaled slowly. 12 years serving his country. Missions, risks, sleepless nights. And still, he was treated like an outsider in his own field. The irony was sharp, But so was his determination. A soft knock broke the silence. It was Sam Torres, a maintenance technician from the hangars. "Hey, man," Sam whispered, glancing down the hallway to be sure no one was watching. "I saw what they did to you in the simulator. That wasn't an accident. They deregulated the altitude sensors and messed with the control feedback." Andre nodded calmly. "Thanks for confirming it." Sam hesitated. "Look, I'm not just here to talk. Captain Drayton's been pulling this for years. I've seen incredible pilots quit after what he puts them through, especially people who—" Andre finished for him, his voice steady. "People who remind him of you and me." Sam nodded, ashamed. "I can help. I've got access to the maintenance systems and the security network." Andre studied him. "Why risk your job for this?" Sam swallowed hard. "My brother tried to get into this program 3 years ago. Top of his class. Drayton broke him. He never flew again." Andre extended his hand. "Then we have work to do, just not here." Meanwhile, in his private office overlooking the hangar, Captain Richard Drayton sipped expensive whiskey with a smug smile. "Did you see his face when the simulator crashed?" He laughed. "Priceless," another instructor replied. Drayton smirked. "These so-called inclusion programs are destroying aviation. Now anyone thinks they can fly a multi-million-dollar jet." His phone rang, the caller ID hidden. Drayton speaking. "Captain, this is Edwards Air Force Base. Did you get our memo about the VIP visiting your field on Wednesday?" "What VIP? No one told me." "It's classified. All you need to know is an elite pilot will be conducting a test flight with the new F-22 navigation system. Keep it quiet. It's part of a cooperation trial." Drayton straightened in his chair. An F-22 demonstration meant recognition, headlines, and funding. "Understood. We'll have everything ready," he said eagerly before hanging up. He turned to his team. "Listen up. We've got a high-profile guest coming. Everything has to be flawless by Wednesday." The next morning, while the trainees practiced emergency drills, Andre quietly observed. Every guard post, every camera, every movement pattern. He noted them all. "Hey, diversity," a blonde trainee called out with a smirk. "Still here? Didn't you learn your lesson yesterday?" Andre smiled faintly. "Some lessons take longer to teach." The remark left the young man puzzled. He expected anger, not composure. At lunch, Andre sat alone, but his solitude was only an illusion. Through encrypted channels, he coordinated a silent network. Maps of Silverwing were exchanged, schedules verified, credentials checked. That night, while the others celebrated in the campus bar, Andre met Sam in the dimly lit maintenance corridor. "I got it," Sam whispered, handing him a magnetic keycard. "Full access. Hangars and control room." "Excellent," Andre said, slipping it into his jacket. "And the flight schedule?" "Clean. No military activity listed for Wednesday." Andre nodded, satisfied. "Good. After Wednesday, you'll want to have an alibi." The next day, Drayton doubled down on the humiliation. During the morning briefing, he singled Andre out as an example of what not to do, questioning his grasp of basic flight operations. But this time, Andre didn't react. He simply smiled, because by now the countdown to Wednesday had already begun. "Mr. Robinson," Captain Drayton said with that familiar smirk, "for your safety, and everyone else's, it might be best if you watch tomorrow's event from a distance. We wouldn't want another incident." Laughter rippled through the hangar, but there was something in Andre's calm gaze that made Drayton uneasy. A quiet strength that didn't belong to someone defeated. It was the kind of confidence that comes from surviving storms that others couldn't even imagine. That afternoon, while the trainees practiced emergency drills on the parked aircraft, Andre lingered nearby, quietly observing. Drayton approached, his tone dripping with condescension. "You know, Robinson, it's nothing personal. Some people just don't have what it takes." Andre turned to him, meeting his eyes. "Interesting," he said evenly. "I was thinking the same thing about you." The boldness caught Drayton off guard. Before he could respond, his radio crackled. "Security check complete. Perimeter clear for tomorrow's event." Andre gave a polite nod. "Shall I take my leave, Captain?" "Actually," Drayton replied with a smug grin, "I want you to be here tomorrow. I want you to see what a real pilot looks like." Andre smiled faintly. "Oh, I'll be watching, sir." That night, in the stillness of his room, Andre opened a hidden folder on his laptop. On the screen appeared classified military files, a record of who he truly was. 15 years in the Air Force, veteran of 3 international missions, over 2,000 hours in supersonic fighters, former member of the Phantom Wing program, the most secretive test pilot division in the country. He closed the laptop quietly. Moments later, his phone vibrated. "Everything ready for tomorrow, Colonel." Andre exhaled. The game was set. Before sunrise, under the fading starlight of the Arizona desert, a lone figure walked the perimeter of Silver Wing Airfield. The guards nodded respectfully, unaware of who they were really saluting. Behind every calculated humiliation and every arrogant smile, a perfect plan had been unfolding. And Drayton, in his own arrogance, had built the stage for his downfall. By Wednesday morning, Silver Wing was buzzing. VIPs filled the viewing stands. Journalists, investors, senior officers. Champagne glasses sparkled in the desert sun. Drayton moved confidently among them, offering rehearsed smiles and firm handshakes. "Today," he announced proudly, "you'll witness a masterclass in aviation excellence, an elite pilot demonstrating the unmatched power of the F-22 Raptor, a shining example of the tradition we uphold here at Silver Wing." Around the runway, the trainees stood in formation, eyes fixed on the sky. Andre was among them, silent, expression unreadable. Drayton leaned toward him, his microphone on so the entire group could hear. "I hope you're paying attention today, Robinson. You might finally learn what a real pilot looks like." Andre smiled faintly. "Don't worry, Captain. I won't miss a second." At exactly 10:01 a.m., the sky erupted with the roar of jet turbines. A silver glint appeared on the horizon, streaking toward the airfield at unbelievable speed. The F-22 Raptor, the most advanced fighter of its kind, sliced through the air with surgical precision. Gas rippled through the crowd as it performed a series of maneuvers that seemed to defy physics. Perfect rolls, vertical ascents, inverted dives, and a controlled freefall that left even seasoned pilots speechless. "Who is flying that thing?" one investor whispered, eyes wide. Moments later, the jet leveled out and began its descent, a flawless landing that ended just meters from the VIP platform. The engines quieted to a low purr. The airfield fell silent. The cockpit opened. A man in a flight suit climbed down, calm and steady. He removed his helmet. Andre Robinson. Not a word was spoken. The silence was absolute. Drayton's face drained of color as Andre turned toward the crowd, his voice echoing through the loudspeakers. "Good morning, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Andre Robinson, United States Air Force, Phantom Squadron, Air Special Operations Command." From the VIP section, a decorated officer stepped forward, General Michael Harrison, a name known throughout the Air Force. "Colonel Robinson," the general declared, his voice carrying across the stunned field, "is one of the top 3 fighter pilots in the nation." The applause started slowly, then built into thunder, and for the first time in his life, Drayton had nothing to say. A veteran with more than 2,500 flight hours, a test pilot for the F-22 program, and recently assigned to evaluate civilian training centers for potential military partnerships. Lieutenant Colonel Andre Robinson was not who anyone at Silver Wing thought he was. Drayton staggered backward, his face drained of color. "Wait, what does that mean?" he stammered. Andre faced him calmly. "It means, Captain Drayton, that the Department of Defense was considering a $50 million investment in Silver Wing, turning it into an official partner training facility. My job was to assess not only the technology, but also the culture and values of this institution." Gas spread through the VIP crowd. General Michael Harrison stepped forward, tablet in hand. "Unfortunately," he announced, "our investigation uncovered systemic discrimination, deliberate tampering of equipment, and a toxic environment inconsistent with the values of the United States Armed Forces." The large screen behind him came to life, playing hidden recordings captured by micro cameras and field microphones. There it was, every insult, every act of sabotage, every sneer and whisper Andre had endured, all recorded in crystal clarity. "Sabotage flight simulator," the general narrated, advancing through the footage. "Falsified performance reports, Mockery and deliberate disrespect toward a superior officer of the Air Force. The hangar fell silent. Journalists typed furiously. Investors whispered in disbelief. Drayton's empire was collapsing before his eyes. This is a misunderstanding, he shouted desperately. Andre removed his gloves slowly, his tone steady and unflinching. There is no misunderstanding, Captain. Only revelation. Sometimes you have to test a system in unexpected ways to reveal what truly lies beneath. The cameras zoomed in on Drayton's pale, broken expression. The same broadcast now going live across national television. The trainees who had mocked Andre earlier looked away, faces hidden, shame written across them. Overhead, the vast Arizona sky, the same sky under which Andre had been ridiculed, now bore witness to the collapse of arrogance and the rise of justice. Days later, headlines called it the landing of justice. The story went viral, 50 million views in just 2 days. Public outrage was instant. Reporters swarmed Silverwing, demanding answers. Was Drayton merely suspended? One journalist asked. General Harrison shook his head. No, Captain Drayton has been permanently banned from all institutions affiliated with the armed forces. His license revoked. He is under investigation for multiple violations of professional conduct, including deliberate equipment sabotage. But the story didn't end there. A week later, in an exclusive CNN interview, Andre appeared in full uniform, medals gleaming under studio lights. I'm proud to announce the creation of the Wings for All Foundation, a national program to identify and train talented young pilots from underrepresented communities, he said. The Department of Defense has agreed to redirect the $50 million originally meant for Silverwing to fund this initiative. He paused, his eyes steady on the camera. The sky doesn't belong to one group or one color. It belongs to everyone with the courage and skill to reach it. Meanwhile, Richard Drayton's career disintegrated, his reputation destroyed. Schools that once praised him now denied knowing him. The trainees who had joined in the ridicule were expelled, their aviation careers effectively over. One of them posted a public apology. Drayton made us believe this behavior was acceptable. He created an environment where arrogance felt like power. We were wrong. As for Sam Torres, the technician who had risked everything to help Andre, he was promoted to maintenance supervisor at the new training center and awarded a full scholarship to become a pilot himself. Andre taught me something I'll never forget, Sam said during the center's reopening ceremony. We don't have to accept injustice as normal. We can change it if we have the courage to act. 3 months later, the facility officially reopened under a new name, the Robinson Aviation Center of Excellence. Etched into the gate were the words, "Talent knows no color, race, or gender." Andre Robinson now led the Air Force's Advanced Training Division, enforcing new equality protocols across every base in the nation. In his office on the wall behind his desk hung a single-frame photograph. The moment he landed the F-22 Raptor on Silverwing's runway, the day arrogance fell and justice took flight. He didn't keep that framed photo as a reminder of humiliation, but as proof that true excellence always finds its way. Months later, during a lecture to young cadets, Andre smiled and said, "You know what's most ironic? Captain Drayton was right about one thing. Tradition matters, but the true tradition of American aviation has never been exclusion. It's always been innovation, courage, and excellence. And that spirit was alive in the new generation." The Robinson Aviation Center soon welcomed the most diverse class in American aviation history, young men and women from every state, every background, every walk of life, all united by a single dream: to fly. Among them was Sam Torres' younger brother, who had once given up on that dream after witnessing his brother's struggle. Now he was among the top of his class, flying with the same determination that had once changed his brother's life. In a nationally broadcast ceremony, Andre Robinson received the Distinguished Service Medal, not for combat, but for the courage to expose and transform an entire system. "Colonel Robinson doesn't just fly airplanes," said the Secretary of Defense. "He lifts this nation to higher standards." Meanwhile, far away from the airfields and cameras, Richard Drayton was spotted working quietly at a small gas station in rural Arizona. When reporters approached, he looked down and muttered only 2 words: "No comment." Across the country, The Robinson Silver Wing case became required study material in aviation ethics and leadership programs. Instructors played the recordings as a reminder of how arrogance can blind people to true talent and how integrity can change everything. From his new office, Andre often looked out over the runways, watching the next generation take flight. He knew that his hardest battle had never been in the skies over distant lands, but right there at Silver Wing, when he had to defend his dignity without losing his calm. Patience isn't weakness, he later wrote in his best-selling autobiography. Sometimes it's the most powerful weapon we have. I didn't respond with anger, because anger would have proven their expectations right. I let my excellence speak for me. Andre's journey became a symbol of resilience, inspiring thousands to document injustice, stay disciplined, and turn pain into progress. Not to prove themselves worthy, but to show that excellence is the loudest answer to prejudice. In the final pages of his book, he wrote, "Success is a two-way street. You can use it to lift yourself, or you can build a bridge that lifts others with you." And the last image the world has of Colonel Andre Robinson isn't of a man seeking revenge, but of a man who rose above it, expanding the sky so that others could soar beside him.